According to multiple sources, Ukraine has been given 48 hours. What happens next could end the war or expand it beyond Ukraine. Urgent developments are unfolding across Ukraine, developments that many analysts believe mark a decisive turning point in the conflict. Over the past several weeks, a clear escalation has taken place, not only in the intensity of Russian strikes, but in their purpose. According to multiple reports and insider sources, Moscow has moved beyond pressure tactics and entered a new operational phase aimed at fundamentally reshaping the battlefield and Ukraine's strategic future. Western capitals are showing visible signs of alarm. NATO officials are reportedly scrambling to reassess their assumptions as Russia puts forward new demands involving up to 10 Ukrainian regions. These demands are not being presented as part of a negotiation process, but rather as a reflection of military realities that Moscow intends to enforce. At the same time, Ukrainian military infrastructure has been under sustained and systematic attack for more than a month. Ports, air defense systems, radar installations, logistics hubs, and energy facilities have been struck repeatedly. The Odessa region has been hit especially hard, with port infrastructure and protective systems reportedly destroyed on a scale not seen earlier in the conflict. These strikes are not random. Analysts increasingly agree they are preparatory actions, laying the groundwork for a major offensive designed to cut Ukraine off from the Black Sea. If successful, such a move would dramatically alter Ukraine's economic and strategic position, effectively leaving the country landlocked. Insider reports circulating within Ukrainian political and military circles suggest that Kyiv has been given a narrow window of time. According to these sources, Moscow has already approved a plan for the full liquidation of Ukraine's most critical military and strategic infrastructure. A new stage of the operation has begun, one that is no longer constrained by concerns over Western reaction. At the center of this strategy stands Odessa. More than any other city, Odessa represents Ukraine's remaining maritime lifeline. Repeated strikes on ports, air defense nodes, and radar systems in the region indicate a deliberate effort to make maritime operations impossible. President Putin's earlier statements that Ukraine could be cut off from the sea now appear to be translating into concrete military action. But the pressure is not limited to the south. Russian forces are simultaneously exerting pressure across multiple fronts, stretching Ukrainian defenses to their limits. Russian units are positioned roughly 20 kilometers from Sumy, about 40 kilometers from Kharkiv, and on the outskirts of Zaporizhzhia. Following the capture of Huliaipol, analysts warned that an advance toward Dnipropetrovsk is becoming increasingly plausible. Geography plays a crucial role here. The terrain leading toward Dnipropetrovsk consists largely of open fields with relatively few prepared defensive lines. According to Sergei Lebedev, coordinator of the Nikolaev Underground, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast is a key strategic hub for Ukraine's eastern military grouping. Major railways and highways pass through the region, carrying equipment, fuel, and ammunition to frontline units. This is why recent strikes on Pavlohrad and Kryvyi Rih are viewed as especially significant. Disrupting these nodes threatens to paralyze supply chains feeding the Eastern Front. Attacks on airfields in Kamyansky and Aviatorsky further demonstrate an effort to reduce Ukraine's operational mobility and air power capabilities. Secondary explosions observed at these sites confirmed that ammunition depots were hit. In Kryvyi Rih, power outages following strikes believed to target substations point to a deliberate campaign against rear-area infrastructure and energy networks. Experts note that this approach is aimed not only at military targets, but at making sustained resistance increasingly difficult. In the Sumy direction, developments are particularly alarming. According to the Telegram channel Frontovaya Ptichka, Russian forces are actively expanding operations and forming new bridgeheads. Positions of Ukraine's 103rd Territorial Defense Brigade near the Kursk border have been subjected to sustained artillery and airstrikes. Equipment has been destroyed, and cleanup operations are ongoing. Ukrainian command is responding with urgency. Fortifications are being built at an accelerated pace, and even assault troops are being reassigned to engineering duties. This unusual move points to a severe shortage of specialized personnel and highlights the scale of the threat facing the region. The seriousness of the situation was underscored by statements from the 7th Air Assault Corps of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, which acknowledged that Russia is preparing a staging area for an offensive towards Sumy itself. This is no longer speculation by external observers, but an assessment emerging from within Ukraine's own military structure. Over the course of a single day, Ukrainian forces reportedly suffered more than 110 killed and wounded. Among the destroyed equipment were a Ukrainian-made Bodana self-propelled artillery system, 2 Soviet-era D-30 howitzers, and a radar station used for target detection. Russian fighters operating in the area claim they are ready to advance toward the regional center and are awaiting authorization to begin the next phase. Following the capture of Andriivka, Russian forces have stabilized a bridgehead that could be used for further movement towards Sumy. Whether this advance will be launched immediately remains unclear, but the balance on this section of the front is increasingly tilting in Russia's favor. Behind the front lines, signs of strain are becoming visible. In Sumy itself, resistance among segments of the local population is reportedly growing. Acts of sabotage, arson, and damage to Ukrainian military equipment have been recorded. Some of these actions appear coordinated, while others seem driven by spontaneous frustration and fatigue with the conflict. Public discontent has also surfaced in the form of protests. Hundreds of residents have gathered in spontaneous demonstrations, demanding information about Ukrainian soldiers mobilized from the city who are now listed as missing. Protesters claim the number of missing personnel is rising rapidly, reaching into the thousands. These tensions are exacerbated by failures in basic services. Heating, electricity, and water supplies remain unreliable, while local authorities struggle to address the situation. This combination of military pressure and internal instability is placing additional strain on Ukraine's ability to manage the crisis. The situation escalated further with the large-scale strikes carried out during the night and morning of January 14th. Targets were hit not only in Kyiv and its surrounding region, but also across Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Airfields, industrial facilities, and strategic infrastructure were struck, including the Yuzhmash plant, a key missile production site. In Kryvyi Rih, multiple targets were hit within the city and in nearby areas. One of the strikes is believed to have hit a substation, leading to widespread power outages and subsequent disruptions to water supply. These attacks reinforced concerns that Russia is moving toward a strategy of comprehensive infrastructure denial. According to insiders close to Ukrainian command, Moscow has now made its decision. The systematic destruction of critical infrastructure has begun. Frontline reports indicate that under the current level of fire suppression, Ukrainian forces are finding it increasingly difficult to halt Russian advances. Witnesses in Kyiv reported a new and disturbing development during the January 14th strikes. Jet-powered drones were observed attacking in coordinated waves, sometimes in groups of several dozen. Explosions were reported near the Kyiv hydroelectric power station, a key energy hub supplying electricity to the capital. According to Sergei Lebedev, these were third-generation Guran drones featuring increased speed and extended range. Analysts suggest that the strike may have been intended to test the resilience of Kyiv's energy infrastructure and evaluate air defense performance under sustained pressure. Engineering and auxiliary structures at the facility were reportedly hit, indicating a probing operation rather than an immediate attempt to cause a catastrophic failure. However, observers note that repeated strikes of this nature could have serious consequences for power supply in the capital. Military analysts have drawn particular attention to the fact that these jet-powered drones were deployed in coordinated groups. If confirmed, this suggests that production has reached stable capacity and that a stockpile has been accumulated. This directly contradicts repeated claims from Kiev that Russia's weapons reserves and manufacturing capabilities are nearing exhaustion. Despite unprecedented sanctions, Russia appears to have adapted its military-industrial base to wartime conditions. The ability to produce, stockpile, and systematically deploy advanced drones on this scale suggests that earlier Western forecasts underestimated Russia's capacity to sustain prolonged high-intensity operations. Taken together, these developments point to a dangerous new phase of the conflict, one defined not by symbolic gestures or limited objectives, but by a comprehensive effort to dismantle Ukraine's military, logistical, and economic foundations. As pressure mounts on multiple fronts and critical infrastructure continues to come under attack, the coming days may prove decisive for the trajectory of the war.